got that? Okay. You guys recommend Mike Adams be the secretary of the board for 2022. Martha, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Mike? Matt?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Okay, it's passed 501. Okay, Ron, would you like to take over?
No, you can do the next two.
Oh. Okay. It is recommended that Marilyn Birch be appointed corporation treasurer of the board for 2022 and set her bond for $100,000. Also recommended that Mariah Crane be appointed deputy corporation treasurer. Mike makes the motion, seconded by Martha. Okay, Martha, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Well, we have to, since he's virtual, we have to take a roll. Public access counselor. Ron?
Yes.
Yes.
Mike? Matt?
Yes.
I vote yes. So it is recommended that board retain Lewis Capps as the corporation attorney. Do I have a motion for that? Ron?
Yes.
Okay, seconded by Sharon. Okay, here we go. Martha?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
Okay. Matt?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So 6-1. Okay, it's recommended that the regular scheduled monthly board meeting be held on the second Monday of each month at 7:30 p.m. except for, we usually do March and October if
Monday after the spring break or fall break.
spring break and fall break.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve that? Ron, seconded by Martha. Okay, Martha,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Okay, it is recommended that the board's annual salary be set at $2,000. Do I have a motion for that? Ron? Okay, seconded by Sharon? Okay, Martha?
Okay.
Sharon?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay. You want to just go through this, Ron, do this part?
Yes.
And we'll just, when we switch over, okay. It was recommended that Eastern Green Schools remain members of the following organizations: Southern Indiana Educational Center, Hoosier Hills Vocational Cooperative, institutional member of Indiana Association of Public School Superintendents, and institutional member of Indiana Association of School Principals. Do I have a motion for those? Sharon, seconded by Ron. Martha?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Mike? Matt?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Okay, approval of conflict of interest statements. It is recommended that conflict of interest statements be reapproved for the following individuals: Ron Childers and Matt Roberts. That is for because they have family members who work here. Okay, do I have a motion to approve this? Sharon, second by Martha. Okay, Martha,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Okay, appointment of legislative liaison. Is recommended that the board appoint who would we like to put in this?
Who wants to volunteer?
Who wants to volunteer? I've never known anybody to actually perform any duties, but we have to. Okay, Sharon.
Yeah, I'll hear. Yeah.
Okay, do you have a motion made by Ron? Seconded by Mike. Okay, here we go. Martha,
Yes.
Sharon,
I'll stay.
You can vote for yourself. I don't care. Ron,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Okay, appointment of policy liaison. It is recommended the board appoint as policy liaison. Martha, how would you like to be the policy liaison? Again, I've never known this.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Do I have a motion for that? Ron, second by Sharon. Okay, so Martha?
Abstain.
Okay. Sharon?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. It's recommended that Trent Provost Superintendent be appointed as directory, an LEA representative of federal programs, and represent the interests of Eastern Green Schools on the Hoosier Heartland Trust, Southern Indiana Trust, S-Craft Board, and Midwest Natural Gas Cooperative. Do I have a motion for that? Ron, do I have seconded by Martha? Okay, Martha,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Okay, it's recommended that the organizational meeting be adjourned at 7:11. Do I have a motion for that? Martha, seconded by Ron. Martha,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. So that's adjourned. Okay, Mr. President.
Okay. All right, the regular meeting will be called to order at 7:12. And first on the agenda is a special presentation by representatives from Lancer and Butte who have done a site study. And I will turn the floor over to our representatives. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Terry Lancer with Lancer Plus BB Architects. This with me tonight is Tara Murphy. She's a project architect with us. She has performed an extensive study of your school facilities, and I'm going to let her present that assessment to you tonight. I just want to thank you for hiring Lancer Plus BB to perform this assessment for you, and I hope that you find that we've done a good job for the school corporation. This document is made to basically help you plan for the next 5 to 10 to 15, 20 years out. So it's basically, Tara's going to explain it as we looked at your facilities. I will say that you know that our facility studies tend to point out some of the needs and things that aren't so great, and spends less time on telling you about all the great things that you have in your facilities. So keep that in mind, that you know it's going to kind of point to the needs again, and just to allow you to have information as you plan for the future, how to take care of your facilities, and thoughts on what you might budget for them in the future. So I think Tara's going to spend about 30 minutes walking you through this facility study, and at the end we'll leave time for question and answers. So take it away, Tara.
Thank you. So we'll kind of just go through sort of the front end and the back end of the document, and after we're done, we'll pass out copies. They do have 98 pages, so I'm not going to go through all 98 pages. Just kind of want to orient you to how it's set up and how it functions. So table of contents here kind of shows you that there's 4 parts. There's an introduction piece. There's part 2, which mostly has in it a scoring summary, so that all the buildings, and some different items that we go through and typically score whenever we do a facility assessment like this. And then part 3 goes into each building individually and kind of hones in on that assessment, gives some more detail, some narratives, some photographs, and some information. And then part 4, there's proposed solutions. Again, divvied up by building, and that you'll see some different options as far as proposed solutions that we have for this building. At the very end, very exciting, is an estimated cost summary for some of those proposed items. So here we've got the introduction. We start off with some acknowledgements. This does take some considerable effort by the part of some of your staff who has allowed us to have access to the buildings, to tour the buildings, and also spoke with us. So here we recognize some of the staff that were able to interview or that were able to help us with this. And this goes into the scope of work. It kind of explains how we do these facility assessments. So we start off, we collect drawings of the buildings, then we get to go through and tour the facilities, we take some photographs. We also take with us some of our mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers. In this case, it was a company called EP, as they are more proficient in sort of those items in the building. And then last but not least, as I mentioned before, we did some interviews with some staff. And then also here you'll see like a scoring rubric, if you will. So we've got sort of failing, poor, average, good, excellent, it's color coded. Those aren't so much like a grading score, we're not judging you so much as we're judging your facilities and how the timeline should be of what you should consider some things. So a failing might be something that should have some immediate considerations, while a poor item is something you should consider in the next 1 to 3 years. Average, 3 to 5 years. Good and excellent, you've got 5 to 10 years plus. Before those particular items might need some consideration or replacement. I will say you'll see a lot of failing and poor items come into here. There is sort of a negativity bias, if you will, whenever we're scoring these things. So for instance, you might see an item on there like windows, and it says failing. It doesn't automatically mean all the windows are failing in replacement, so much as maybe there's one window, a couple of windows that we're trying to draw your attention to. Okay, just that, and then we go into the summary here. So at the top, you can see different sort of categories with items underneath of it. So we've got site characteristics, safety and security, and building envelope as categories on here. And then across the top row, you see the different schools. We've got high school, middle school, elementary, central office. Now we know all 3 of these are in one building, but there are some variations between the 2. So this is a summary of all the buildings so you can see how they relate to each other. What you will see whenever you go into the assessment portion is that there are a lot of items in the elementary, middle school, central office that are the same. And as you get down into the complex sections of where the scores are, you'll see sometimes it say C middle school because it's exactly the same. Sometimes it's different. When we start getting to here, you see building organization and efficiency, environment and teaching tools. So building organization and efficiency, we've got restrooms, storage, cafeteria, things like that. Environment and teaching tools, we've got flooring, finishes, furniture, equipment. And then the last sort of architectural category is program and curriculum. So you can start to see through these summaries there are some things across the board might need some attention, but you can also see that the high school, for instance, obviously is quite a bit newer than the middle school or the elementary school. That being said, there are still some items within a high school that are listed as failing. A lot of times when things are failing, it's just because they're at the end of their useful life, but sometimes they might not just be up to the efficiencies that you want to see, might not just be functioning as well as you want them to function. Right, and there's mechanical and plumbing. You can kind of see across the board, HVA, system performance not doing so well. That was one of the biggest complaints that we had heard from staff as far as fluctuating temperatures. So our MEP was able to go and look at some of that equipment and provide some support to that. Electrical items overall, doing fairly well. All right, so this part we're going to get into the actual facility assessments. I'm only going to show you the high school to kind of orient you to that. We'll skip over the elementary, middle, and central office. Okay, so you start off with high school, and there's sort of an informational page, shows the site, shows some information, square footage, enrollment. And then here there is a page that shows all the room numbers. So that way whenever a room number is referenced in the scoring or referenced in the proposed solution, you are able to find where that is. All right, and here's where we get into sort of the nitty-gritty of the scoring. You can see here we have comments as it's related to the scores. Obviously, if you are failing, you're going to be able to see a lot of comments there and get down into the detailed information of why they got a score like that. And then there are narratives. So there's an architectural narrative, sort of broad items, not a whole lot of detail items. And then there's also mechanical, electrical, plumbing narratives, so you can really get into some detail there, things maybe you couldn't include in the scoring. And then there are photos. I will say the photos that we include are the worst of the worst, so don't think that this is a representation of your school, but just trying to showcase some of the items, especially that got failing scores, or items that are related to some proposed solutions down the line. So here you can see, for instance, in the high school art room, there is a storage space that doesn't really have any shelving, perhaps not very efficient storage for that space. There's some broken flooring tile and a kitchen custodial closet, very detailed, and then a game shower being used as storage. It's pretty typical, we see that a lot. And then the next item would be the middle school, so I'm just going to show here the front page of middle school, elementary school, central office. And then we get down into proposed solutions. So here you'll see that there's high school, and so these proposed solutions are just looking at maintaining or upgrading based on what current needs that you have for the high school. And then part B, we've got this building, and that would be doing maintenance on it as it is to sort of bring it up to what your current needs are. And then there's going to be two options to do a new building here. Either one where you're utilizing the same location or one where you're finding a new location. And then an estimated cost summary. So here we've got a site plan for the high school. In it there's a color key and some highlighted things that are also labeled. So some solutions here that we're proposing. Moving the softball and the baseball field over into the high school campus. We're also proposing some possible additions to work for some needs that are there, and as well as some maintenance of like the football field and the fencing that's there. And this goes into the actual building itself, again highlighted by various colors. You can see the green things are new construction items. Yellow might be replacing flooring. Purple items, you've got a little bit of refurbishment, which is just replacement of some of the finishes. And then here we really sort of get into like a shopping list of all of the proposed solutions. You can see that there is a cost range. So this is a total cost range for all the items that are being proposed. And so you can go in line item by line item, or even category by category, and see what a low to high range that we're estimating this cost to be. Quite surprising, there's a lot of mechanical, electrical, plumbing included there, due to some inefficiencies that are going on in high school. All right, and here looking at this building, you can see a lot of it is colorful. A lot of it would, need some enhancement, some refurbishment to be able to continue to function. We wanted to make sure we showed you that option and what that cost would look like. So again, going in line item by line item categories. Quite a bit of interior work, mostly just like refurbishments and some system changes. And this is a possible proposal to come in and remove this building phase by phase. This could be an interesting option as you could keep some aspects of this building that you really like. Like for instance, I know the middle school gymnasium is kind of demolish sort of in phases and rebuild in phases. Obviously that would take a lot of planning, but it would allow you to keep this location, keep some aspects of the building that you currently do like. And then so in here we have that sort of broken out phase replacement. And then another option was doing a new building on a new site. So you can see the cost relation there a little bit. All right, and then the final page, estimated cost summary. So this again breaks things out by categories, so we can kind of see safety and security versus exterior campus items that are sort of district-wide. You can also see, the entire schools and the different options that are there. So this is color-coded by two different things. There's gray and blue. So there is a low-cost range, which is showing you the low cost from the high school, and then the lowest cost of the options for this building. And then over here, it's showing you the high cost for the high school and the highest cost for the options of this building. Questions?
Any questions from the board members? And all this is in our binders?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is all this
Yeah.
paid?
We got a few more minutes.
Yeah.
We did pretty well there.
I don't know about
If you get your binder, we might go back and recap, starting on page 7, which is that summary.
this one. An extra one too,
Yeah, we will. You got two members that are on here.
Great.
Thank you.
Tara, could you go back and pull up page 7? So again, I think going back to page 7, this is a great summary for you guys to look at. As Tara explained, the 4 buildings go across the right, and then across the left-hand side of the page is all the different items that we looked at, item by item. Tara mentioned a lot of them, the site characteristics where we look at your parking, your parent bus pickup, site lighting, landscaping on the security and safety, and the building envelope, including windows and roofing. And if you look at the summary, the idea of the quick summary is to look and notice that your middle school and your elementary school, they started construction in 1960s, and they've been added on in 70s and 80s and 90s. And so as you look down that, what you'll see is a lot of red and orange, meaning that there's a lot of needs in these buildings. And then as you look at your high school, which is a newer facility, you'll see a lot of, greens or yellows, meaning that it's in good condition, or, that it's average or excellent. So, and then if you look, you'll see some things that are in red that kind of can jump out at you, like roofing on the middle school, elementary school is reds, meaning that, you probably have issues with roofing on this building. And then you can go back into the detailed report that Tara shared, and it'll kind of tell you where that is in those locations and tops. And then as you move on to page 8 again, looking at building organization and efficiencies, ADA compliance, interior walls, and you can see as she reviewed your facilities, the middle school and the elementary school, again, because of their age, they're gonna lack ADA compliance because most of it was constructed, prior to the American with Disabilities Act being put in, and it's hard to keep up on all those, and some are really hard to achieve, because once it's there, sometimes it's just hard make those things happen. It looks like, you know, restrooms and locker rooms, a lot of those are in red, meaning, you know, they just get worn out. I mean, they get a lot of use with a lot of students over the years, right? And they get worn out. The other thing I would say is, you know, again, back as we move to the page 10 that looks at HVAC, you know, you've got a lot of aging equipment in these buildings, air handling units and exhaust systems that, you know, some of those are reaching the end of their lifespan, so that's planning for the future. I think the other thing to note then when we get to the very back of the book and some of these summaries, you know, I get that there's big dollars in here, right? I mean, if you add everything up and could fix everything, and, you know, money wasn't an object, but as we all know, it is, and especially for the taxpayers of this community. So, you know, I kind of, as I look at these summaries, you know, I hope we laid out some options for you guys, that there's options to pick off some of the things that really need to be addressed that show up in red, and those are kind of more like maintenance items that you know, that you can bite off as much as you can, you know, every couple of years. Maybe with smaller bond issues. We all know that capital projects fund, the states really cut that back. It really, there's not enough in capital projects funds to hardly do anything anymore. Most school districts have to plan to do small bond issues to be able just to maintain the facilities that they have. You also, as I look at your school system, and I've been working with schools in Indiana for about 40 years of my career now. We currently are working with probably 40 different school districts across the state of Indiana. So I see a lot. And big picture, what I see for Eastern Green is you guys have a new high school facility that's going to serve this community for the next 60 years. You have an elementary school and a middle school that's seen a lot of age. It's performed well, but it's been here for a long time. It's been added on to and added on to. If we were going to replace it, the new building would be much smaller because it would be so much more efficient. It would also be more energy efficient. It would be more conducive to student learning because it would be designed for today's students. So, you know, big picture, I think we're giving you options that you can fix up and maintain what you have here and continue to do that. But we also took a big picture look at if there was a possibility to replace this school corporation could be set for the next 60 to 75 years into the future with great facilities for your students. And it comes with, you know, a fairly big price tag. And I think that if you consider some of those things, it's best to work with financial advisors that can look at your debt and see as things get paid off, maybe as that high school starts to get paid off. I think it's approximately 10 years old. It was probably on a 20-year bond issue. So if you think about that, you know, in 10 years from now, that debt burden on that high school is going to drop off at some point. And that might be the best time for you guys to plan to do a major project so that that new debt could come on when that old debt comes off, and that way you would maintain your tax rate for the taxpayers of this community, to keep it level, because nobody wants their taxes going up and down. So that's a big picture as I look at your school district. Every school district's different, and that's kind of how I see this school district, and thoughts for planning for the future. And heck, I might be retired by the time you guys would do that project. But I think it's just, for you as a school board, you're probably planning out 2 years and 5 years, but, to be thinking 10, 15, 20 years down the road for this community. And, because one of the other things is you don't necessarily want to keep putting money and more money into a school building over and over if, 5 or 10 years later, you're going to look at doing some replacement on it, because, that wouldn't be a good steward of the money too. Even though I know you have to maintain it, we got to keep, thermal comfort for our students and security and safety, but also, we have to think about the long-term future. So I just wanted to kind of share that and my thoughts, and I'm glad to answer any questions that you have for me or any specific questions that you might have for Tara.
Are a lot of these numbers like current market price? Because I know right now construction is.
They are the numbers in here. First of all, they're construction dollar numbers. So they're what we call hard and soft costs. So these are the hard costs that you spend on construction. They're today's dollars, and there's a range. So they're going to cover some escalation over the next couple of years. Now, if you were to look out and do some of this work 5 years from now, we probably need to come back and see what costs have done. But I think, for the next few years, these are good dollars, and their ranges, because they're it's not like it's designed and ready to go to estimate to a tight dollar. So we're kind of giving you some ranges of low to high.
Any other questions from the board? Appreciate the binder and really appreciate all the work you did and prepping for this. And David, I want to recognize you because I know you are a big part of this, along with several others, but thank you very much.
There's a lot to digest here, so
Yes.
we'll let you guys take a look at it. And if you have any other questions or things you want us to address, just let Trent know, and he knows where to find us. So thank you so much for allowing us to be here this evening.
Thank you, Tara. Real quick before we get to participation, I did want to mention we do not have any students of the month for this month. It was a quick turnaround coming out of holiday season, and this meeting is usually longer anyway, so we'll get back with students of the month in February.
All right. Moving on. Participation in school board meetings. The board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express concerns regarding agenda items. Comments will be limited to board meeting agenda items with a limit of 3 to 5 minutes. Is there anyone present who would like to address the board tonight on any of the agenda items?
I just had, I'm gonna play dumb. I'm assuming there'll be more info coming out about the new COVID policies and stuff with the quarantines. Just some things I wanted to ask or point out.
Can I ask you real quick, for everybody who's online and listening, can you tell everyone who you are?
Carrie McKnight, I live in Center Township. I have 2 kids in school and 1 in preschool. On the list of the changes, it mentioned that if you're positive, you stay home for 5 days. When your symptoms are resolving, you can come back. And I just was hoping there'd be more detail about what resolving symptoms mean. I know it said no fever, but it's a little odd then that if you test negative, you have to stay home until your symptoms are resolved. So it seems odd that you could come back sooner if you were COVID positive, potentially. And then treating the vaccinated patients, I'm used to being at work, the vaccinated students and staff differently than unvaccinated with all the new stuff coming out, information about Omicron and how vaccinated people are actually just as likely, if not more likely, to get it and share it. Doesn't seem right to make that distinction. And then I'm wondering if the nurse community would have any input on wearing a mask while doing extracurriculars, if there's sports and active sports that you're expecting someone to wear a mask. I mean, I'm not gonna let my kid do that, but I don't know if there's any like health professionals that could step in on that and maybe make some different recommendations. And I'm glad I was here for this. Very interesting, and I'm just wondering when that might be posted online for the public to take a look at the
site
stuff in the
study?
binder. Yeah.
We'll work on that, yeah, I'll have to get they'll probably provide me an electronic copy and I'll try to get it
That'd
posted
be
as
awesome.
soon as we can.
And then kind of related to that with the COVID stuff, and the ESSER grant and the year, I saw the list of purchases so far that have been made, or are those proposed purchases, or have those all been made?
From what I have online, probably mostly been purchased. Some might not have been purchased yet. I would say, from what I've seen on there, probably most of those in some way or another have been purchased. Some of those are, the whole grant is over 3 years, so we have 3 years to spend the money. So some of those are ongoing
Yeah,
expenses
I'm not
we'll
in
have
a
for 3
hurry
years.
for you to
So,
spend it. I just,
yeah.
Knowing what it's being spent on is great, and for even greater transparency, it'd be nice to have like an itemized with dollar amounts, and then the date that it was spent, or if there's a range of time, like this amount's going to be spent over the next 2 years to do this. That would be really helpful for community and parents and stuff who are going to hopefully benefit from all these purchases. And just kind of as a side note, maybe the HVAC improvements that are really necessary, it would be great to use maybe the ESSER funds for that, since it's going to be beneficial for COVID, to upgrade our ventilation and filtration systems and stuff. That seems like it would certainly fall into that. Might help with the budget to be able to do something else with your actual building fund. That's all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mary.
Terry. Anyone else? Nope. All right, let's move on with our agenda. Recommended that the agenda for the January 10th, 2022 meetings be approved as presented with additions, corrections, or deletions as recommended by the board. Okay, anything we don't have in front of us? Nope. Okay. So seek a motion for the approval of the agenda. Scott? Second? Sharon? Say we still need to do our roll. Matt, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yeah.
And yes for me. So passes 6-0. It is recommended that the minutes from the December 13th meeting of 2021, typo, be approved as presented. Seek a motion for that approval. Martha? Second? Sharon? Ready to vote, Matt?
Abstain?
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yep.
And yes for me, so that would be 5-0-1, pass. And approval of claims, recommended that the claims numbers 14287 through
14363.
be approved as presented to us. Seek a motion for that approval. Mike? Second? Martha? Okay, any comments or questions? Matt?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yeah.
And yes for me, so that one passes 6-0. Trent, I'll turn it over to you at this
Sounds
point.
good. Tonight, I'm recommending that we approve the 22-23 school calendar as presented. We tabled that last month to do a little bit more thinking and research into what we want to do. What I'm recommending is 2 changes for next year. Number one, I'm recommending we move graduation just 1 week later than it normally is. Normally, it's just a couple days after we get out of school. That makes it very rough on our high school staff, teachers, the principals, the staff in the office to get grades done, make sure everybody has met graduation requirements. It's a very stressful time for them to only have a few days to get that done. And so I'm recommending we move graduation just 1 week. They're ecstatic that I'm making that recommendation because it gives them more time. The other recommendation I'm making is we have, for the past few months, as administration and teachers, we've been talking to teachers about this too, especially teacher leadership. I'm recommending that we have delayed start Wednesdays where students will, teachers will come at the normal contract time, but students will come in about 50 to 55 minutes later than a normal school day, and that's going to allow us to provide professional development for our staff, which is much needed. We're going to be working with a consulting firm. Hopefully that's on tonight's agenda. If approved, we're going to work with a consulting firm that's going to do a needs assessment of what we really need to be working on, curriculum, teaching strategies, things like that. These past 2 years have really thrown us, all schools in the state, really for a loop. And there's just a lot of things we need to work on, and the time's just not there to provide professional development. We need to carve that out. So obviously there will be more information to come on what exactly Wednesdays will look like. That'll be out long before next school year starts. And when we brought this to teacher leadership and they talked to teachers about it, we heard nothing but excitement about it. They want PD, they want to learn more, and they are happy to have some time carved out for them to be able to do so. So that would be my recommendation to the board.
Seek a motion to approve the calendar for the 2022-2023 school year. Scott? And need a second? Sharon? Any other questions or comments? Okay. Matt?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yeah.
And yes, passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next up, we have a recommendation to approve the contract with Josh Whitfield to complete renovations to our baseball and softball fields as presented in our CPF plans. These improvements would take place and be done prior to the season starting, so it would be done in plenty of time for baseball and softball to be played on those. Several things are looking like they will get done. New dugouts, some new backstops, the softball field, the area behind that's up above the actual playing field that has some definitely grading issues. We're looking to level that out and make that more safe. So those are some of the major renovations we're looking to take place before the season starts.
What's the cost?
A little over $90,000.
Any other questions? Okay, seek a motion? Scott? Second? Martha? Matt?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yep.
Yes for me, so passes 6-0.
Next up, we have recommendation to approve the policy changes recommended and required by the governor's executive order and communicable disease laws. We posted these on Facebook earlier today. I want everybody to kind of see what we were going to be looking at tonight. We'll have these up on the website tomorrow. We've actually been already using these policies as of January 3rd. We thought it was best to allow kids to stay in school as long as possible, so we started using these. I told the board I would like to do that, so we started on January 3rd using these. Just so everybody knows, these are not just like any of the other ones. These are not anything this board has written. I haven't written these. I haven't changed a single word that came from the state. The state did a webinar where they presented these to us on, it was during Christmas break. It was the Thursday before we came back to school. And they sent us their presentation, and basically I just typed up this recommendation directly off of their PowerPoint. So this is everything the CDC has put out and the state has adopted. And once again, it was made very clear that if we are going to quarantine and isolate, this is what we have to do. So I don't want anybody to get the feeling that, you know, we've made any changes or we're doing things the way we see fit. We're doing things exactly by what the state is requiring us to do by the communicable disease laws. I can also tell you that I've been in contact with the other corporations in the county. They're following the same guidelines. So I don't want you to think that, once again, it's just us doing something different and kind of going rogue here. So like I said, we posted this on Facebook. And as far as the questions Carrie asked, why vaccinated versus unvaccinated are treated differently, I can't answer that for you. Like I said, I'm following what the state is requiring us to do. I didn't write it. You have to talk to local health department or doctors you trust or your legislators. That's the only advice I can give you. I'm just doing what we're required to do by the state. So I don't think there's a lot else for me to go over. Like I said, the new policies and protocols are posted on Facebook. We'll have this posted on the website as of tomorrow. Nurses are already using these, and they're getting themselves up to date on all of this. We just ask for people to be patient and work with the nurses, because every scenario seems to be different. Something's going on where they have to really look at that particular scenario and help families out the best they can. So I guess that's all I have this time.
I got a question. You say here, you say recommended required.
Mm-hmm.
Would you explain required?
For
Is
my
that a mandate?
these
And what penalty is there if you don't follow it?
these are put under the communicable disease laws of
Well,
Indiana.
some schools are not following. I mean, what I read in the papers, that's what I'm saying.
It's very possible,
Okay,
but I don't want to put ourselves in that position.
okay. So it's actually recommended.
Under the communicable disease laws,
It's recommended.
it's
Some of these are requirements.
But with the requirement, then required, it's a mandate. So they gotta have a penalty if you don't.
Class B misdemeanor is what I've been told.
Yeah.
For each instance.
I haven't seen that at all. Not a criminal offense.
Talk to the local health department, because that's what they told us.
Mhm. And I've talked to several surrounding health departments as well myself, and that's the consensus among them as to what could and should happen, even though schools aren't necessarily following the same recommendations and requirements.
Some of them are not.
No, you're right, they're not. And it really, puts the local health department in a bind.
Okay, so it's a recommendation.
Are masks still required?
Yes.
Yeah. And we still have the metrics out there for when we can possibly come out of masks. And we will follow that. Things just change when you're not in masks, then we follow the policies on here of what would happen when we're not in masks. So yeah, all that stuff is still there.
Seek a motion to approve the policy changes that have been presented. Scott? Second? Sharon? Matt, your vote?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
Sharon?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yeah.
And myself, yes. So 5 for, 1 against, so it passes.
Next up, I'm making a recommendation that we upgrade Voice Systems Cloud to Voice Systems Cloud-based accounting program at a cost of $35,060 annually. Just to explain that a little bit, we already have Voice Systems. Most people know it as CompuTrol. However, what we are using is a very outdated system. It works. But it is based off a DOS program, which if any of you know anything about computers, that goes back a long time. It goes back so far that our ladies in the office, like Mariah and Marilyn, they can't be in that system at the same time. Only one person can be in that system at once. So Voice has been, over the past few years, been upgrading their clients, which they have a lot of clients all over the state. CompuTrol is very popular. They have been upgrading their schools to the cloud-based system that allows obviously more than one person in at a time. You can work more easily from home and things like that. While they were doing this, their company also sold. So now they're going through a transition of that on top of trying to get everybody transferred over. So they've guaranteed us that we're going to be able to get transferred over sometime during the third quarter here of 22. And to do that, that's the price annually. It is an increase of about $15,000 annually. Right now we're paying them about $20,000. So it is an increase, but it's well worth it because it's a good system, and that's what our office staff is used to. So that's my recommendation.
Seek a motion for this adoption. Martha? Second? Scott? Any other questions or comments? Matt, your vote?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yep.
And myself, yes. So it passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Have fun, Marilyn.
You're welcome.
Before I get out of here, I gotta learn a new system.
Next up, we have a couple resignations. First, we have a recommendation to approve the resignation of Tony Renard, effective January 28th, 2022.
Seek a motion.
He's
Scott?
retired.
Yeah, I guess we should put that it is a retirement,
Yeah.
so yes. Thank you for that, Mike.
And a second. Martha, did I see your hand?
Yes. Who was the motion on that?
Scott? Matt, your vote?
I just want to say thank you to Tony for all his years of service and wish him well in whatever he chooses to do in retirement. So I vote yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes, and I'm gonna miss his motorcycle.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yep.
And yes for myself, so passes 6-0.
Okay.
Hold on, yo-ho, he'll be done.
Next up, we have a recommendation to approve the resignation of Kelly Paget, effective January 2nd, 2022. Kelly took a teaching position in Monroe County. She really wanted to be in special ed, which is what she's getting part of her degree in, and they had an opening there that she could get right into special ed. So gonna miss Kelly, definitely gonna miss Tony also. So I just want to say thank both of them for their service to Eastern Green, and they'll be missed.
Can I get a motion for Kelly? Martha? A second? Scott? Any questions, comments? Matt, your vote?
Yes.
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 Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yeah.
Motion passes 6-0.
Next up, we have a recommendation to approve hiring Caitlin Ite as corporation school nurse effective January 1st, 2022. Caitlin, we interviewed 4 candidates. It came down to what I would say 2 that were very close. And quite honestly, the way Caitlin answered one question, which is basically about why she wanted to be at Eastern, was what set her over the top. I think everybody's going to get to know Caitlin very easily. She's got a very bubbly personality. She's great to work with. Wants to learn, wants to get involved in as much stuff as she can. So very happy to be recommending Caitlin.
Take a motion. Sharon? Need a second? Scott? Matt, your vote?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon? Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes for me, so it passes 6-0.
Have some donations. Recommending to approve the following donations. Eastern Green.
Baseball.
Baseball booster.
Thank you. Baseball Booster Club, $250. Tommy and Lori Bell donating $1,000. Those donations will be used for turf floor covering in the batting barn. Yoho Family, $250. Royal Publishing, $100. That's for the Toby Yoho Classic Tournament trophies and programs, respectively. Kimberly and Alan, I want to mess their name up. Anybody know how to pronounce that? Perazis, okay. $45 to the high school band. Thank you for those donations.
Take a motion. Scott? Need a second? Martha? Matt, your vote?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon? Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes for me, so it passes 6-0.
We do have a couple late items. One is a recommendation to approve Hunter Southern as Title I instructional assistant.
Take a motion. Scott? You need a second? Martha? Matt, your vote?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Yes for me, 6-0 passes.
Okay. Next is a recommendation to approve the contract for Encompassing Education as presented. Encompassing Education, I talked a little bit about this just a few minutes earlier. They are a consulting firm, educational consulting firm that work with schools on kind of a myriad of things, mostly professional development for schools. So I want to use them both this semester and into even the summer to help us start planning. They're going to do a needs assessment first, and then they're going to help start planning with us for a year-long plan for what our PD will look like, especially on those delayed start Wednesdays that we just talked about. So Encompassing Education has a very good track record in the state of Indiana. They work with all kinds of schools. I know there's a lot of consulting firms out there, but I trust this one. I've actually worked with them before in a different district, and I've always been impressed with them. So I think they'll do a good job.
Got a question?
Yeah.
So will their work be fluid, that as changes come through the year, the schools can adjust their focus?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, they're
that
just
was-
gonna.
That was my main concern.
Yeah, they're just gonna work with us to get a rudimentary plan going, and then if things change, yeah, we shift course into something else if we feel like we need to move in a different direction. So yeah, it's whatever they help us set up is not set in stone. Yeah.
Take a motion for approval. Sharon? Need a second? Scott? Matt, your vote?
And I got a quick question too.
Sure.
And that was being paid out of the grant, right, Trent?
Yeah, thank you. That's actually coming out of the ESSER 3. So on that list that you might see on our website right now, I think it talks about hiring or working with a consultant. That would be these people. We we didn't know at the time who that was gonna be, we just budgeted for it, so, yeah, it'll be paid out of ESSER 3.
Okay, yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes for me, so passes 6-0.
And also to be transparent on that, right now, the invoice for them to visit all 3 of our schools, do a comprehensive needs assessment, and then meet with administrators for time to plan PD, that's $17,100 right now. And we budgeted, I believe, $30,000 for a consultant, because we just weren't sure how extensive we needed, so we're well within budget right now. And that's all the late items.
Okay.
So we're up to discussion and information. So elementary, Amanda, do you have anything for us?
I do want to thank you for adopting the Late Start Wednesdays. I'm really excited about not only having the time for teachers and for administrators to have a chance to receive professional development, but it's, we've asked so much of our teachers during the school day, and they spend so much time working even outside of their contract hours, so it's really helpful to know that our staff will have time to get trained during the school day, so they don't have to give up as much time in the summer and their time outside of school. So thank you for that. I'm really looking forward to that. And then I just want to say, at the end of first semester at the elementary, our students celebrated their academic growth with a bounce house party in the elementary gym, and we had a lot of fun with that, and the kids are still talking about it and hoping to do that again sometime. So that was a great way to end our first semester. And report cards were distributed last Friday, January the 7th, and our PTO has reached out. They plan to have an online spirit store available at the end of January, possibly 1st of February. And so more information about that online spirit store will be sent home soon. Information will be probably posted on the Facebook page, and it'll come home with students. I also want to thank Kelly Padgett for her years of service to the ELC and for helping, teach kindergarten this year. That was a last minute change. But I'm grateful because the parents have been so understanding with this change, and we've been able to have Miss Madison Jackson, who student taught for us first semester. She's going to take over that classroom and finish out this semester with our KO2 classroom and our KO2 kids. So a big thank you to our new school nurse, Caitlin Ite. She's been a wonderful addition to our school team. And I also want to thank Nurse Tina because she's done a great job training Caitlin. Tina's done a great job throughout the school year as well. So thank you to them. And then last, I really want to thank our elementary office staff. I can't say enough about all of the work that Lisa and Beth do throughout the year. And they, as well as our teachers, spend countless hours, I know probably outside of their work day, working and helping and taking care of our kids. They always put kids first, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Just really have some thank yous. So for the middle school, just super proud of the faculty and staff for getting right back at it last week. Students were happy to be back, and a lot of smiling faces. Tired, but smiling faces for sure. Thank you to Mr. Provo and the school board. I don't know if people realize or not, HICOM is currently installing, maybe even right now, because they've been in every day, installing a new security system and cameras. This will help to keep us safe, but it's also an upgrade at the same time. I'm really excited and appreciative of this, so thank you very much. Our incentive breakfast to celebrate several students, our second of the year, will be Wednesday, January 19th, and I'm excited about that. Of course, that was on pause last school year, so the incentive breakfast is big time at the middle. I'm excited. A huge thank you to Amy Goodwin for being the facilitator of our tutoring program, which started today. Amy's put a lot of time into this, and if you know her, she's hyper organized. So I really appreciate her. Thank you to the teachers also. that are giving this extra instruction to the students. I really appreciate them. And lastly, just want to say thank you to Lindsay Bailey, who's our special ed director, and also thank you to her entire team. These ladies are on top of things, very knowledgeable and easy to communicate with. Also great with our faculty, students, and parents. Special ed department AG's in good hands. And as a credit to Mr. Provo as well, we took that on this year away from the co-op, and it's been fantastic. So anyway, that's all I got. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Patrick. So Mr. Kirkendall cannot be here tonight. I just have a couple things. I want to thank all the schools, administrators, all the different teachers who help out with all the celebrations that you guys do. It's neat that, you know, I get, when you guys send out your whole school emails, well, I'm on that list, so I get to see what you guys are doing, and it's just neat to see all the different celebrations you do for the kids. It keeps them, you know, wanting to come to school and be a part of our school corporation. So thank you for all the celebrations you do. They're really neat. Want to echo what Mr. Alt said about tutoring. We have tutoring going on now in all 3 of our schools. The high school started in the first semester. Now the elementary and middle school are joining in. We also have transportation now at this point for those students who stay after if they need it. That is also another one of those ESSER items that we are paying. We're paying both the teachers to tutor and for the drivers to drive and even fuel. We budgeted for all of that. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's taking part in that. I think it's going to be very beneficial for our kids. So I think that's all I have as far as discussion.
Okay. Scott?
No.
Martha, anything? Sharon?
I'd like to thank all the people who put together the after-school tutoring. Putting together bus routes, on top of bus routes, having staffing, taking care of making sure parents remember that tutoring is starting and all the phone calls that office staff has to make. Thank you. Sounds like there's a pretty large number of children staying for that, and it's going to benefit a lot of our kids. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Mike?
I had a request to bring this up, that if we, on these items that we purchase them, when you put them out, if you could put a cost behind the items, that's the way the public will know what expenditures are.
Yep.
Matt? Okay. It's recommended that the meeting be adjourned tonight at 8:12 p.m. Need a motion? Scott? Need a second? Martha? Matt, your vote?
Yes?
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon? Martha?
Yes.
Scott? Yes. So the regular meeting is now adjourned at 8:12. So now, hang on, Marilyn, you're getting ahead of things. You're getting ahead of things. We have more fun to go through. All right.
The game started at 8 o'clock.
Yes. But this one should be quick, Mike. This is the financial meeting of the board, which is required. The meeting for the financial meeting of the Board of Trustees is called to order at 8:13 by me, Ron Childers. So, recommendation, we need any nominations for the Board of Finance President.
And once again, it's painless. There's really
There's really
nothing to this. We just have to do it.
I nominate Martha.
No, no, I never balanced a checkbook in my life.
Okay.
I will not.
Sure.
Oh, there we go.
All right, I'll nominate you.
Sorry.
Who's the nominations got?
Heather.
Heather? Any other nominations? Okay,
I'll close.
Sharon will close the recommendations. Need a second for that?
Second.
Mike? All right, it is recommended that Heather Hudson will be president of the Board of Finance for 2022. Matt, your vote?
Yes?
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yep.
Ron? Yes? we also need a secretary, so we need nominations for secretary.
I nominate, Matt Roberts.
Nomination for Matt Roberts. Any other nominations? Close the nominations. Sharon? Need a second for the closure? Martha? So it's recommended that Matt Roberts would be the secretary of the Board of Finance for 2022. Matt, your vote?
Abstain.
Mike?
Yeah.
Sharon? Martha?
Yes.
Scott? And Ron, yes, so that would be 501 passed. It is recommended that the financial meeting be adjourned at 8:16. Need a motion? Martha? Seconded by Mike. Matt?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sharon? Martha?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Ron, yes, we are adjourned at 8:16. Thank you all for coming, appreciate your attendance.